All right, let's get rolling. For those of you joining us for the first time, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you about horse trailers. We're so excited about the webinar topic we have today. I was a little bit concerned. I'm thinking, man, what am I going to talk about on the wrong size horse trailer? But I think we'll have some really good information. So stick around. We've got lots of topics to cover and points, and we will dive right in. For those of you that have joined us on our past webinars, thank you very much for coming back to us again. I think we did GVWR a couple, 3 weeks ago, and then some layout stuff not too long ago as well. My sidekick today is my favorite son-in-law and currently my only son-in-law, Caleb Norris. We're about an arm's length apart, so you'll see me probably looking back and forth at Caleb, and maybe I'll reach over and push him one time.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Caleb. Did you get your workout done today? You ready to roll?
Ready to roll. Leg day, baby. Leg day.
Let's do it. You're about to buy the wrong size horse trailer. Oh my goodness, why most buyers and most experts get this wrong. This is going to be fun. So I didn't have this in our slides until today's Wednesday. We're just a few days before Memorial Day. So I hope everyone has excellent plans for that. But when I came in on Monday, I had an email in my inbox that I received from one of our customers that we recently delivered a trailer to just a few weeks ago. And the email is, I have made a substantial financial investment in a trailer that realistically does not meet my practical needs. What happened?
Let's see.
Okay, here's what she did before ordering. She did almost a month of research, design, and confirmation. She searched through Google and found us through a targeted search. One of the cool things about Google is it transfers the actual search term to us so we know where a customer originated. And on this particular search, it was for our brand specifically. So this was an educated buyer that knew about us and had done a lot of research, and then before actually reaching out and contacting us. So back in December, a build out form was submitted, and I'll show you that on our website really quick. But she basically went through the site, made the selections that she was looking for. It was specific to the breed requirement, specific to the stall width request. During the design process, we had 3 phone calls, we had multiple emails, several drawing revisions that Caleb did. He's very patient, much more patient than I am. And in early January, so, we sell factory direct. We don't sell through any dealers. We don't have display lots, but we do have a buyer connect program. So if you've never seen one of our trailers, and before you drop such a huge chunk of money, you could simply pop in your zip code on our buyer connect program. It'll show you all the folks in the surrounding area that have a trailer, and we can actually connect you with one of those previous or current owners, rather. And so that works fantastic. So in early January, we did that. And thankfully, it was the identical build that this new customer was looking for. It was a double side ramp. It had a nice dressing room on it and things like that. So she got the opportunity to see one in person, touch it, feel it, understand it. The dressing room was the same size. The horse stalls were the same size. So mid-January, we signed, finalized, built, kicks off. We started building it. So this is what an informed, engaged buying process looks like and what it should look like. It's pretty much everything that we always go through. And yet, 2 complaints came in after delivery. Now, we don't mind complaints at all. Yeah, in
Not at all.
fact,
No.
in fact, we're very good at customer service,
Yeah.
right? I think we're one of the best, and we understand the buying process can be daunting, and it's our job to make sure that we cover all of the bases. So the first complaint was the hitch. We can't use the trailer. We're unable to hook it up. Kayla and I are just sitting here scratching our heads, and we're like, I don't understand this. What do you mean you can't hook it up? So we started doing a little research and looking, and it was they were trying to back underneath the trailer and were not able to back all the way up without lifting the tailgate. And the only thing that that means is the ball inside the bed of their truck was a little bit farther forward than what we'd like to see. That's truck specific, not trailer specific. It also would not prevent the customer from using their trailer. You simply just back up underneath, flop the tailgate up, hook up and be on your merry way. And of course, we just suggested to purchase an offset hitch. After the fact, we were told that their previous trailer had an offset hitch. This was never mentioned during the design process. And one of the things, if you guys purchase a trailer, whether it's from us or another manufacturer or whomever you buy from, if it's a custom design, we can only build for what you share. Okay. Had we known that information, we could have at least prepared the customer prior to the delivery of the trailer. So it wasn't an expectation of when they received it that these things were going to be in place. So we had no idea of that because that information never was shared with us. And it's not anything that's very common. We just don't run into that for a whole lot. So we got past that and they finally used the trailer. And complaint number two, the length. It's too long. And one of the things that we are good at is building to spec and building to details. We're very detail oriented. Every phone call that we do, every email, every video call, it's all transcribed and recorded. And the reason for that, I was at church this past Sunday. My pastor said he had read an article of research that said 90 to 95% of people in the first 72 hours, forget 75% of what you heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think it's actually more, I would say it's more like sooner, like maybe 48 hours.
Yeah, I
72
don't.
is gracious.
I mean, the good thing about me is you can have a conversation with me today, and then tomorrow I've already forgotten it. We can have the,
Yeah.
what are you laughing at?
The same, yeah.
We can have the same conversation again. And Caleb's like, we literally talked about that yesterday.
It might not even be a different day.
Yeah, so
Uh,
the purpose in doing this is not that we're trying to catch you in an I got you moment. This is what you said. It's so that we have those details. They can be transferred to our drawings, to our estimate. If we have a question, we can look back at it. And then also these details have to be transferred to our engineering team as well as the trim team. So it's a long process, but detail. And fortunately, we had the info. The length was discussed and confirmed back in December on a call. And then it was confirmed again on a January call. This was the day after the in person visit, mind you, when our customer saw the exact same trailer that they were purchasing. Okay. And the response at the time in January was absolutely, that's perfect. So just remember undisclosed constraints, they don't disappear and they can often resurface. And of course, it's the trailer's fault. So, this is what we hope to accomplish on this webinar to simply help you guys prevent or fix some potential issues when you are purchasing a trailer. And I just said the word ah. So
yeah, you did.
I'll try not to do that. If I do it again, call me out. So what's next? All right, 6 lessons that prevent this story from being yours. Sizing for the horse. We're going to discuss layout myths, stall dimensions, what actually fits. Your future you versus your current you. The expert advice trap. I love this one. I've got a couple good stories to share with you. The husband and wife disconnect, spouse and spouse disconnect, significant other and significant other disconnect, whatever we'd like to refer to it as, but two people that have different opinions. The trailer first, then the truck, always a no-no, and want versus need versus the actual true cost. Sizing for the horse. This is where every wrong purchase often starts.
Amen.
Yeah. How many times, Caleb, have you had a client reach out and I have a big horse. I need a trailer. I need to haul 3 horses.
All the time. And the the main complaint, so about 95% of what we build and sell are slant loads, and a majority of the people who have these size horses always come with us and they're like, well, my large horse, my warm blood, my draft does not fit in a slant load. So we always have to kind of give them a brief education course correction in that.
Yeah, so it actually has nothing to do with the slant angle itself of the horse, whether it's or the trailer, whether it's slant or straight. I think someone back in the 80s or 90s developed a slant load trailer and made it a measurement where maybe a 15-2 hand horse will fit and probably nothing larger. And today, you still have a majority of manufacturers cranking out these, I call them cookie cutter trailers. No disrespect intended, but it's a lot of the same repetitive. And so it gives slant loads a bad reputation of small horses fit in a slant load, big horses will not. That's actually not true. The only problem is the person that built the trailer, it just didn't build it big enough. When you go to the clothing rack at Walmart or Target or wherever you shop for your clothes, Ralph Lauren, I don't know. I don't know if Ralph Lauren makes clothes.
I
It might
think they
be
do.
perfume or something,
Yeah.
but they have different size clothing. It's not one size fit all. And it's the same way with horse trailers. So people telling you this, they're thinking about production trailers, not custom built ones, or they're thinking about their own experience and maybe a bad experience that they have had. So there are five size tiers on how we match the trailer to the horse. And when you're going through, I'm going to try to pull this up and just drag a slide over here really quick. But when you're going through our builder tool, just get a, I should have had this done already. Thank you guys for your patience. That sounds like an elevator saying or something. Thank you for your patience. All
Yeah.
right, does this show up on yours, Caleb?
Yes, sir.
All right, so when you're going through our builder tool, you can select forward facing or rear facing, and then there you go. Which size horse that you're looking for. You could click on a particular one. I have a 16.2 to 17 hand, and it'll actually show you the dimensions and a description with that. It's a very cool tool, very cool tool, if you will. And we have figured out these measurements over many, many years of building. So let's look. If it's an 80 width box, that's where the entire fender well is on the outside. The stall size is 40-inch. That's what we call a standard build. And it generally fits up to about a 15-2 hand horse. These are probably going to be the measurements within an inch or two that you see on many, many slant load trailers that might be on a dealer lot. Okay. So up to a 15 hand horse. If it's a 15-2, let's say a 16-2 guy, maybe we're still going to keep that 80-inch width box, fender wells entirely on the outside, and I'll show you a picture of that. We'll add 1 foot to the length of the trailer. So let's assume that the trailer is 15 feet long. We're going to make it 16 feet, and that 1 foot is going to go in one stall or ever how many stalls that we need to accommodate that 16-2 guy. So for our up to 17 hand guy, we're going to do a 90-inch width box. So we'll have a little bit of fender well on the inside, same size 52-inch stall. If you've got up to a 17 hand or 17.2 guy, we'll go with the 96 box, still the 52 stall. And then over 17.2, we'll go with a full 102-inch width. Now, 102 inches is full legal width and actually 55-inch stall, so a little bit bigger. Oh, and we noted it there, federal max width. Thanks for doing that. We actually had a client in Punta Gorda, Florida. Bernadette is her name. She purchased a 3-horse reverse load gooseneck. She had 17.3 warm blood, 1,600-pound range. We delivered the trailer, and her trailer was the 96 box and the 52 stall. I don't know if you remember that, Caleb. It's been a few
I
years
do
ago.
remember.
Yeah, so Bernadette actually unhooked the trailer, or our driver did, hooked it up to her tow vehicle. She loaded the horses. It had a camera system. She started driving it up and down the road. And she called back and she said, "Hey, Brad, my horses, I think maybe Caleb was dealing with there, but my horses fit, but there's not enough room
Hmm.
for my guy to lower his head while I'm in transit so that he can cough and clear that dust or debris and without scraping the head, right? When you're trying to drop that head down." I said, "No problem. I know how to fix that." So we simply built her another trailer. She allowed her to continue using that. So it didn't prevent her from not having a trailer. We made it the 102 box, the 55-inch stalls, and horses fit amazing. So we actually have real client testimonials on that.
Yeah, and she was the first one that you'd ever done that for, but we've done several of those types of trailers since then. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's been very
definitely.
popular.
Hmm.
Okay, here's and we're just going to run through these floor plans quickly. I won't bore you with dimensions, but you can see the 80-inch outside box width. The fenders are on the outside. The back stall is 40-inch, so that means, oh, we've got it labeled at the bottom. 40-inch back stall standard fits up to a 15.2 guy. 52-inch front stall, which adds one length, 1 foot of length to the overall footage of the trailer. That fits up to a 16.2 hand guy. And while we're here, this is a reverse load. So horses will load through the side ramp and they can unload through the rear. And we discussed this in a lot more detail in another webinar. By the way, you could go to our webinar pages and click on any of the previous ones and be able to learn more about the difference in forward facing and rear facing, as well as some of the research on that. Okay, build number two, up to the 17 hand horse. This is the 90-inch exterior box width. You can see a small amount of fender well on either side, so that's the difference there. They're both 52-inch size stall. Again, this is also a reverse load, but you'll notice the side ramp is on the pass or the driver's side rather than the ditch side. So some of that is personal preference. This one in particular is a living quarter. And with the corner fiberglass shower, it sort of dictates where the side ramp has to go. But this would be up to a 17 hand horse. Here we go. Now we're getting into up to a 17.2 guy. What are we going to do? You can see the trailer's a little bit wider. There's a little bit more fender
Hmm.
well in there. Does that show up okay on your screen? Does
It
my
does.
mouse
Yep.
show? Heck
Yep.
yeah. We have one, two, three 52-inch size stalls. And one of the things I love about these double side ramp reverse loads is you have independent access to all three horses. So if you have to offload one in an emergency situation during transit, you'll actually be able to do that. One of our future webinars is about accidents. Amy down in Sarasota, Florida, was kind enough to do an interview with us, and we'll play that at the future webinar. But she had almost this identical trailer that flipped, and it's a great testimonial for her on that. And then the last one, this is going to be the over 17 to the 1,600 pound plus guy, the Bernadette design. Okay, we should name it that.
Yeah,
It's a
for real.
it's 102-inch outside width. You'll notice zero fender well. The back stall is a 52, and then we made that front one a 55. So you'd be able to fit that much larger horse in there comfortably if you need to. And a quick photo. So the 80-inch width, just so everyone understands and has a visual of what I'm talking about when I say fender well on the outside. You'll notice the walls in here are smooth. This is the rumble flooring. You could see that big double side ramp there. The 90-inch width has a little bit more fender well in there. The 96-inch width down at the bottom is going to have more than the 90. You might not be able to tell it from the picture, but it's a little bit more fender well. And then this is the 102-inch width. That's not a fantastic picture, but I wanted you guys to see one with the rear safe tack compartment in the open position with the extra partition in there. So we won't get into that. We've discussed it many times before, but specific questions, reach out to Caleb or myself or ask on the webinar. And at the end, we'll probably have time to jump in on that. Now, a straight load layout, I don't build a lot of straight loads here, but we do build some, right?
We do.
Yeah, yeah,
We do.
we have. It's probably 80% of what we build are reverse
Yes.
loads,
95.
95%
Yeah.
are slant forward facing. So 80 of that would be reverse, another 15% would be forward facing, and then 5 to 10% maybe are straight loads. Nothing against straight loads. We just don't do that many of them. They have their place and advantages and disadvantages. Most bumper pull straight loads that if you drive up to a dealer lot, you hook up to most any two-horse trailer anywhere in the United States, it's probably going to be what they call a 10-foot horse stall. Now, one thing to point out, you see this 84 number? 84 inches is 7 feet, if my math is correct.
That's correct.
But if you look at the center of the butt bar to the center of the chest bar, that's 74. We actually lost 10 inches. In fact, we lose a whole foot because that's the middle of the chest bar. The horse can't stand in the middle. His butt's
Correct.
gonna touch the side. And we have really thick padding. So you're only about 6 feet from the horse's butt to the chest. I do like, I'm not sure how other companies built theirs, but we put a little space behind that butt bar just so that the tail can hang over and you're not rubbing on the back door. And same way with the 36-inch measurement. That's going to be from the center of the chest bar to the center of the dress wall. And that 84 measurement is actually to the outside of the back door. So it's literally if you hook a measuring tape on the exterior corner of the trailer and pull it to the middle of the dress wall, that's going to be your 10 feet. But realistically, it's only about maybe 8.5 to 8 foot 10 inches of usable space for the
Mhm.
horse. And those measurements would generally fit up to a 16.2 hand horse, what we call the standard build. If you have larger horses, you can just add a foot to the overall length, add a little bit to the height. And we didn't include that on the slide.
The
We missed
the
that,
width.
but we would go from the 72-inch exterior width, which is 6 feet, to an 80-inch. So we would make it 10 inches wider. Okay. And then in straight loads too, just why a thought popped in my brain, you can do side ramps for exit, things of that nature. Just a quick slide, forward facing versus reverse. Forward facing versus reverse. I don't know if that's correct. Forward facing, the horse is standing, looking toward the direction of travel. Reverse facing, the horse is standing, looking away from the direction of travel. And we discussed this in detail on it was the March 11th webinar, trailer layout, who's at risk. So I would encourage you to review that if you have not already. Just a quick, another view of our tool. We've already gone through that, so no need to go through that again. Now, future you versus current you. Any questions on
Super.
that?
No questions yet, but this is definitely a super important topic.
Don't buy for who you are today. And I don't know.
Why would why would you say that?
When I was in my 20s, I thought I knew everything.
Fair.
Apologies if you can hear my swallow on the microphone. It's
You're
probably
good.
rude.
You're good.
By the time my frontal lobe had developed at 25 or 26, I knew a little more, and I just turned 52, and I don't think I know a lot more, but I'm certainly wiser. But
Hmm.
purchase for your future you versus your current you. Well, what does that mean, Brad? I think if you ask yourself a 5 year question, who you were 5 years ago, who will you be 5 years from now? Are you going to have more horses? You buy a two horse, you add another horse in 2 years. Maybe you're single, you get married, or your child starts showing horses because they've gotten older. Now you're making two trips, or you got to buy a different trailer. Different events. There we go. Maybe your kids start showing, or maybe the weekend trips become overnight. Local shows become regional. You start traveling more. You're at retirement age, so you've got time to do that now, whereas before you didn't. And maybe you get bigger horses. A lot of folks say, well, I'm not going to get a bigger horse. Well, unfortunately, a horse could pass away and you want to buy something else. And that may be something that you do. Your quarter horse turns into a warm blood, right? Or your 16 hand current horse is a 17-2 future horse. But suddenly the stall is just too tight.
Yeah, I believe I've actually talked with a customer in the past who had a horse who was given. Can you hear me? Yeah, I had a horse that was given to me, or she said that it was giving to her, and so she was able to look at doing something bigger. So definitely stuff changes as you go along.
All right. Don't size up, size right. And I'm going to jump to the bottom of my screen. The cost of sizing incorrectly is enormous. The cost of sizing right is actually small. My opinion and our recommendation, never buy more than you haul, but buy for what actually fits. I've had some folks reach out to us and how many horses do you need to haul? Two to three. Well, are you hauling two or are you hauling three? Right?
Hmm.
Well, I only have two. I'm never going to have more than two, but my friend has a horse and I want us to be able to go together and I want to be able to haul her horse or his horse. Okay. Well, the cost difference between a two horse and a three horse is about 8,000 bucks. So my recommendation is to call your friend and say, "Hey, if you'll pay me 8 grand, I'll actually buy that three horse version for you." That conversation never works out. So, size right. You don't want to buy a larger trailer than you need and have to drag that thing around. Camping overnight, are you doing rough camping or with comforts? How many people are going to sleep inside? What tow vehicle do you have, or what tow vehicle do you plan to get? And we'll touch on tow vehicles in just a moment. Now, one exception that I think is money well spent, regardless, whether it's if you're doing this straight load, I would recommend going to the 80-inch size, right? Just gives you more
Correct.
flexibility. If you're doing a slant load, I recommend going with that 90-inch size because it just opens up a tremendous amount of opportunities for you for future horses. It doesn't do anything for your current horses except give them more headroom to lower their head. And guess what? You probably won't keep the trailer forever. More than likely, at some point in time, you're going to sell it, and it opens up the market so that those 17 hand warm blood clients or owners would be able to buy that.
Yeah, what I always tell folks in that conversation as well is you can always put a larger horse or a smaller horse in a larger stall, cannot always fit a larger horse in a smaller stall. So that helps. And the, I said, that helps the ability to fit the larger horse and not have to worry about them turning around either. They're smaller horse rather.
Good advice. The expert advice trap, part three. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. So everyone has an opinion. Very few have 30 years of seeing how it plays out. And we have literally sold thousands, plural, of horse trailers, which means we've worked with a lot of customers and seen a lot of scenarios. So I actually have, it's not a bragging thing, it's just experience of what we have. I've been doing this since 1996. We started manufacturing in 1997. We only sell factory direct. And so we're very close to our customers. We know what works and we know what doesn't. Who's giving you advice? Is it your trainer? I hear that one a lot. I have a lot of folks say, well, my trainer said I needed to get this trailer. My trainer said I needed to get that one. Let your trainer train the horse. They've never built a horse trailer. They've never seen what happens with 1,000 different customers that have multiple styles of trailer. They only know maybe the trailer they grew up with or just a two or three that they've owned over the years. The vet, right? Your vet's a medical expert. They're not a trailer expert. You don't contact us for veterinary advice or training advice. I'm not a trainer. We're trailer folks. So a veterinarian is, they're just going to have opinions based on what they've seen go wrong. The barn friend, those are always one of my favorites. They've had one trailer, they love it, they brag on it. You got to get one just like it. They don't know what they don't know, right? We were discussing the online forum. The loudest opinion wins. It's often outdated, had one bad experience, and is amplified by 100. One unhappy person will tell 10 people. One happy person might tell one person. Okay. So just be aware of that. You guys have been unhappy with something. You told a bunch of people about it. You just want to be validated. I do. I want you to hear me complain and tell me that I'm right. Other dealers, not to knock other dealers, but there are a lot of dealers in the United States that will push on what they have on the lot. So if today I'm selling brand A with this layout, that's the one that you need to purchase. If you buy it and the next customer comes over tomorrow or the next day, guess what? I don't have brand A. I've got brand B. It's a different layout, but that one's for you. So it's not, it's always oftentimes inventory driven, not necessarily fit driven. How old is their floor plan? How much interest are they paying on the trailer? knows trucks. We have this one just last week. Well, my friend or my husband is a big truck driver. He drives 18 wheelers. Therefore, he is an expert on trucks and trailers. It's two different worlds. They don't oftentimes don't know what they're talking about. Take their input as data, not as instruction. How's our connection doing right now? All
We're
right,
great.
we're getting a thumbs up. Why their advice misses. I was standing on our back in, it's probably around 2000, 2001, and we had a right at the factory. I had some folks come up, a husband, a wife with their friend who's the trusted advisor and the expert. And we had, I don't know, 15, 20 plus trailers, maybe even more sitting there on the lot at the factory. And I'm walking around showing the different designs and everything that I point out, the friend's just disagreeing with me. He's having a different opinion based on his expertise. And so finally, I pulled this stunt. Hello? Sorry guys, I've got it. They're paging me up front. I've got to go back into the office. So I just walk away from that. I didn't have the time nor the patience for it. They didn't buy a trailer that day, but they did come back in a couple of weeks without the friend, and we were able to get their correct trailer sold to them. So if your friend is not stroking the check, I wouldn't pay a lot of attention to what they have to say. They're just sharing their opinion. Three reasons even well meaning advice goes wrong. Their experience does not equal your situation, their horse, their budget, their use case, their truck. None of these are yours. Their sample size is tiny. Most horse owners, they've only had 1 to 3 trailers in their lifetime. They haven't seen 100 different setups go right or wrong. So it's a very small sample size. And they have a confirmation bias. Look, this is what I purchased. I really like it. And it was a great choice. So you need to copy what I did because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel smarter. I like to feel smart. All right.
Hey, we got to pause. I got a question. This goes back to our last section. For Debbie Finnegan, she says, I own 2 horses, but unless both needed to go to a veterinary clinic, I'm only hauling one. So for the future you versus current you, what advice you have for Debbie?
What's your advice on that? So she has a 2 horse, but Future's only going to haul one.
It depends. If you have 2 horses, I would assume you also have to factor in where you live. We work with a lot of customers, clients in like California, West Coast that have to deal with wildfires and evacuations. So that could be potentially at play. If that is something that's at play, you have 2 horses, you need to be able to evacuate both horses in a situation like that. So that's a possibility. If that's not something that you have to worry about, then you could just consider doing the 1 horse model or do a 2 horse and just have the extra space for storage.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 horse is very popular. We do offer a 1 horse, and I've had folks, again, the expert friends that say, "Oh, I wouldn't buy a 1 horse. Nobody buys a 1 horse." Well, if you only need a 1 horse and you're purchasing a new trailer, there's no need to waste money on a 2 horse version. There's also no need to drag around a much longer trailer than what you need. A 1 horse is going to be much shorter. So, Debbie, great question. If you only have 1 horse, you're only going to ever have 1 horse. There's certainly not anything wrong with picking up just that 1 horse version. The husband, wife, or I'm just going to say 2 folks who are potentially writing the check together, but they have a disconnect. Why this purchase is a relationship conversation too. How often do we have wife wants to buy a new trailer and husband could care less about horses? He wants to do race cars. The missus does all of the research, all of the design, all of the conversations. We do the estimates, we do the drawings. Here's the total of the trailer on what her needs are, her current self and her future self, her current horse and her future horse. Here's what it costs to get that. And husband's just looking at the number, nothing else. Or vice versa. Husband rides, wife doesn't. We run into that a lot
All the time, all the time.
all the time. It's actually a bit annoying. I would encourage if you are purchasing and your significant other is not the horse person, I would encourage to have them included on the phone calls, the video calls, the estimates, the drawings, and everything else. I think that would be extremely helpful. And the pattern that we've seen 100 times, yeah, we've got it right there. I just described it. One partner, this is for the horses. I ride regularly. I've done the research. I know what the horses need. This is a quality of life. I enjoy it. Makes me happy. Makes me happy to get out of the house away from you. I didn't say that. Wants it right, not just done. I should have said that. The other partner, how how much does it cost? I've often said, hey, most of the clients that we work with, a majority are ladies, right?
Yes.
And I always say they most will love their horses more than they do their husband. So there's some truth to that. Other partner, well, how much does it cost? I don't ride. They see it as an expense. They're worried about the cost. They want the cheapest option. I saw that I could get a brand CDEG on the internet, and it's a third of what the one is that you're looking at. Good enough is good enough. Put the horse in it, they'll be fine. They clash, nobody wins. They're probably not going to buy a trailer, and maybe we'll sell the wife one at a later date after they divorce. Because
Oh, no, no,
so
no.
I actually had that happen one time.
Really?
I kid you not. I had a client that ordered a trailer from us, paid for it. This was years ago. We built it, called him up, said, "Hey, you need to come pick up the trailer." They had financed it. Your trailer's ready. She says, "We've separated. We don't need the trailer anymore." Thankfully, I was able to undo that deal. We didn't hold them to it. We were able to get the money back from the bank and refunded it. We hadn't titled it yet. And that particular customer came back about a year later and bought one from us. So it
Wow.
does happen.
Yeah.
Navigate it together. Agree on the goal first, not the trailer, not the price. What's the goal? The goal is to get the show safely with flexibility for the family. You want something that is safe. And we've covered that, I think, on the May the 11th webinar. The layout, who's at risk, you or your horse. We
The
actually
March 11th.
March 11th. Yep, yep. I said May. March 11th webinar. So go back and look at that one. Show your significant other that webinar. It's a separate want from cost. Okay. You just need to acknowledge both. You don't need to try to convince the other person. You try to understand them. Show the long-term math. True cost over 25 years, resale value, cost of replacing too soon. Numbers actually help. You're working with a husband in particular, and I keep harping on the husbands because often they're the ones that don't share the horse passion along with their bride. So the numbers do help. Us guys are, we just, problem solution, cost. That's all we look at.
And also stubborn.
And stubborn. That's exactly right. We're very stubborn. Bring both people to the consultation. I think that's one of the best things that a buyer can do is just include your significant other through the entire process. Okay. And when the skeptical partner sees the build, they often become the biggest advocate. Honey, I know this costs more, but we should pull the trigger and do this. You really enjoy riding. You're at a point in life now, you can do that. It makes you happy. This trailer is going to hold its value very well. It's very safe if you get in an accident and safe for you and your horse during loading and unloading. So all of those things would factor in.
Yeah, and I've had many conversations with couples just like that. Maybe the husband or the wife was the main contact, but bringing in on the design consults, we would do both parties. So it works well.
It's a relationship conversation as much as a buying conversation. I like that quote. All right, part 5. We'll wrap this up quickly because I know you guys are getting tired. We've got how many folks? We got a lot of folks that have hung with us the entire time. So thank you so much. We'll get through this quickly. Buy the trailer first, then the truck. Brief callback. Full detail in the May 6th GVWR webinar. We discussed that quite a bit, and I would encourage you guys to do that. I saw an email this morning from someone that says, "Oh, this sounds great, but I need to get the truck first." Did you see that, Caleb? They come in your
I did.
yeah,
I
yeah,
actually had 2 of those this morning that I followed up with.
yeah. I need to get the truck first. Oh, and I need a really lightweight trailer.
Well, they didn't say that, but the ones
Another one did. It said I need to get the truck
maybe.
first. Yep, and I want to
Yeah.
get I want to get a lightweight trailer. And we wrote a book on horse trailers, And I said, look, unless a manufacturer, if you're looking at a 16-foot two-horse slant bumper versus a brand B 16-foot two-horse slant bumper, one's 5,000 pounds, one's 4,000 pounds. The 4,000-pound trailer didn't do anything special unless it was designed with carbon fiber, some space shuttle X technology, and some, I don't know, some super lightweight stuff. Only thing they did was just use much less material, thinner material. You can't see the inner wall of a piece of tubing just looking at it from the outside. So, my opinion, and when we get to the accident webinar and you see some of the horrific accidents that have happened and can happen to you, buy the heaviest trailer that you can find. Okay. The one with the most stuff around it to protect your horse, and then go buy a truck that will pull the trailer. It's as simple as that. Never buy a truck with these low tow capacities and then try to fit a trailer into that budget. Trucks come and go. Horse trailers will last 30 years. There we go. It's on the
or more.
or more. Yeah, the math, 25 years versus 8 years. I didn't even know we had this slide. Trailer life, built right, maintained right, yours for life. We started building in 1997 and we still have 1997, 1998 customers reach out and say, hey, here's a picture of my trailer. And I'm like, wow, that thing looks really good.
We had somebody just I think last week sent it was a 1999 trailer. Looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Fantastic.
and, and there's many manufacturers that would, share those same stories. It's not unique just to us. Truck life, 8 to 12 years, and you'll generally replace it 2 or 3 times in the life of just one trailer. So spec out the trailer needs first. Even if you don't buy your trailer first, figure out what you need, what you want, what you're going to buy, what it will cost, get the numbers on it. Look at the webinar we did on GVWR. It'll save you a huge headache and a huge amount of grief and cost long term.
Speaking on cost, we have a question. What would maintenance costs look like over the life of a trailer?
If it's a living quarter, definitely more. Living quarters are like RVs. In fact, it's the same RVIA certification, which stands for Recreational Vehicle and Industrial Association. The hot water system, the plumbing, the electrical, the power converter, the air conditioner, the seal on the air conditioner, the refrigerators, all of that stuff just breaks. And the longer it sits, the worse it does. Worse it does. I would agree with
Yes.
that. So the more you use it, it actually tends to hold up better.
Well,
If
it's
it
like same as a house. Like if you had if you had a rental property, it was empty for 6 months out of the year, you're going to have some more upkeep than you would if you were living in as a primary resident.
You wonder why stuff does that. Even a house, the house starts
Yeah.
falling apart, nobody using it. I'm like,
Yep.
that doesn't make any sense. If it's a non-living quarter trailer, a bumper pull, or a gooseneck, it will come down somewhat to who manufactured the trailer, just because on wiring, for example, some companies would do a better job of making sure that the wires are not going to get a hole rubbed into them over a 5 to 10 or 15 year period from the vibration. Also, axles. We use Dexter axle. Dexter is the most expensive axle company that exists on planet Earth, to my knowledge. We actually moved from Dexter about 6 months, many, many years ago. They kept going up and up and up and up and up. And so we bought some of that cheaper stuff, put it on a few trailers, and I think her name was Debbie Persh from Texas, had a 3 horse bumper pull, called me up and said, hey, Brad, my trailer's about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months old, 6 months old. It was fairly new. And I arrived from point A to point B and I only had 3 tires and wheels rather than four. The whole thing came off.
No, no bueno.
Praise God, nobody died. It didn't
Yes.
crash through somebody's windshield. So if it's quality components, definitely just take your trailer into an authorized maintenance or repair shop every year. Hey, let me back up on that. Someone with a really good reputation that knows what in the world they're doing, that is honest. Because often a qualified repair shop, they just kind of run you through and they don't look at stuff. But take it to a shop, do it every single year. Let them check the bearings and the brakes and the tires. By the way, change your tires every 4 to 5 years properly. They age out, they don't wear out. Save yourself a blowout. Okay. we have more information on that too. So reach out with questions. But maintenance cost, I would think, would be minimal if it is maintained throughout the years. You could probably drop $500 a year at a professional place and cover pretty much all of your costs throughout the life of the trailer, if that much. Okay.
Yeah.
And some folks will try to do it themselves, but if you have to call someone up and say, hey, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? Or how do I fix this? You shouldn't be fixing it. If you have to ask someone, take it to somebody that knows what they're doing. Okay. Want versus need, the true cost of a horse trailer. We've only got a couple slides on this. I think you'll like it. Why the expensive trailer is usually or often the cheaper one. Now, I can't speak for what else is out there. There's a lot of brands of trailers, but folks that purchase, at least from us, they'll say, you guys are one of the better values. Yeah, maybe it costs a little bit more money, but they also hold their value much better, and I got what I want. Horse trailers are a want item, they're not a need item. And that want is capitalized. You don't need a horse trailer. You need a vehicle. That's nice. Beats riding a bicycle or walking. You need a home to live in. You need food, things like that, but you don't need a horse trailer. And it's a luxury item. It's something that you'll use. It brings you pleasure. Okay. It's like an RV or a boat or something like that. And I always tell folks so many times over the years, I've had clients come to us and, okay, I want A, B, C, D, E, and my budget is $30,000. Got to cram it all into $30,000. We can't spend any more than 30. I don't know where they come up with these numbers.
All the time, even
All the
now,
time.
all the time.
We price out A, B, C, D, E, and it comes out to 40 or 42 or whatever. Oh, yeah, and this need to keep it at 30. Well, I won't say that it won't work out, but I've seen it more often than not work out. And those same folks come back to us in 2 or 3 years with an I wish statement. I wish I had gone ahead and gotten what I wanted because I've not been super satisfied with what I got. Okay. So those are just questions you have to ask yourself. So it's not what's good enough. It's not what will do. It's not what fits a made up budget number. The cheap then replace pattern, that's actually the most expensive way to buy a trailer. If they've just gotten what they wanted up front, because once you try to sell the used trailer, oftentimes you'll take a hit on that because it's so new and it just doesn't work out. These are some real customer numbers. What our customers actually paid and what they sold their trailers for years later. So the first one, B. McNeely, this is her trailer down on the bottom, the black one. And we listed it on our website, I don't know, in the last little bit.
Within the last year or two.
Yep. It was a 2020 model, and the price on that was $52,000. It was one of those double side ramp models in a 3 horse that we've looked at the floor plan on a couple of times. And in 2019, she actually paid 50 for it. I think it was 49, nine something and some change. She sold it for 52,000 in 2025. And so she made 2 grand on it minus her maintenance expense. So guess what her cost was on that trailer? Zero. She used it for 5 years and it didn't
Hmm.
cost her a dime.
And
Now
then
you could
ordered a
make,
new one.
yeah, she did order a new one from us.
Hmm.
So you could make the argument, well, the opportunity cost of the 50,000 and investing it in the bank, yada yada yada. But yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole. If we just look at the cost of the trailer versus what you sold it for, or what you can sell it for, that's actually the true cost. You can buy a house for 100 grand, you can sell it for 100 grand, it doesn't really cost you anything. S. Yates, that is a 1 horse. Oh, we talked about the 1 horse with
Hmm.
Debbie and the expert advisors that say, well, I wouldn't get a 1 horse. I'm not going to pay $30,000 for a 1 horse trailer. Nobody's going to want one of those. Let's see, that's the 3. We don't have a picture of the 1.
Not on that one.
But in 2020, she paid $22,000 for it. And 2024, she sold it for 23. Now, from 2020, from the Ronaville virus up to 23, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
2023 rather, the prices did go up more than what they normally would. So those used values actually held a little bit better value than what a typical market condition would be. But nonetheless, paid 22, sold it for 23, and made $1,000. So she covered her maintenance cost as well. The seals, this was a four-horse gooseneck with a mid-tack, paid,
Not a reverse load either,
yep,
just a
just a
regular.
forward facing.
Hmm.
That's right. 46,000 in 2018, sold it for 43,000 a few years later. And her cost on that, it actually cost her $3,000 to use it for 19, 21, 2, 3, 5 years,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. So $500 a year, not even. Scheller, a reverse load three-horse gooseneck. Again, one of those double side ramp reverse loads. We built a lot of those. Paid 63,000 in 2021, sold it for 60,000 in 2024. Cost her 3 grand, so about $1,000 a year.
And honestly, she sold it within, I think, a week of listing.
That one
It
did,
was very
yeah,
quick.
that one did go quickly. And the last one, RIT. And I want to talk about this one just a second. So this is Miss Rit's trailer right here. It was a reverse load three-horse bumper pull. Okay. And 39.9 was the price on that in 2023. She paid $54,000 for it in 2022 and sold it for 40,000 in 2025. On the 3 years, cost or lost rather, cost of true ownership was about $4,700 a year to
Hmm.
own that trailer. Why did that happen? One, it was a bumper pull for 3 horses and 3 large horses, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
96 wide, 96
yeah,
inches wide.
hers was an oversized that would fit up to a 17.2 warm blood.
Yes.
Had a single side ramp because it's a bumper pull. And a lot of clients are looking bumper pulls because they only need to haul 2 horses. They have a tow vehicle restriction. We want to pull with an SUV, a half-ton truck, something like that. And it's a much more limited market on who would be a future buyer of that particular trailer. So there was more of a price beating, so to speak, on that than what it would have been if it had been a more popular design like the reverse load three-horse gooseneck or something like that. So keep in mind, layout matters for resale and features matter. So get what you want. Some of those things, if you're working with us, we can actually walk through and say, I probably wouldn't do that because if you ever decide to sell it, nobody's going to want it. We've done that many times and then come up with a design that worked for the current owner as well as design that might work for a future owner so they don't take that price beating. So before you buy, ask your questions. Is the stall size right for my largest horse, including the one I might get in 3 to 5 years? Will the trailer fit my life in 5 years, not just today? Whose advice am I leaning on? Do they have my situation or just theirs? Are they writing a check? Yeah, if they're not writing a check, I'm not going to listen to them.
No check, no opinion.
That's right. And what's the true cost over 10 years, not just the sticker price? If you pay $5 for it today, can you sell it for $5 later? And that would be your true cost. So if you answer all those with confidence, you are ready to go. We do have a book that we wrote. We don't sell the books. Not sure why. We should probably do that. But anyway, we're happy to give them away. We're just trying to educate clients. It's not a sales book. In fact, we mention many other brands in the book that we recommend and promote. So we sort of try to peel the onion layers back, if you will, and get rid of all the sales hype. Ours is the best. This one's the best and just look at factual data. So we've helped a lot of folks buy many different other brands of trailers, but they made an educated buying decision. And we get so much feedback and comments from the book that says, hey, I've read it. I've gone back to it multiple times. It's just an easy, short read that will hopefully save you some headache in the future. So you could go on our website, doubledtrailers.com/free book. If you'd like to have a chit chat with Caleb, we've got the book a video call. Those work very well. We like doing videos because we can do screen shares like we're doing now and give some visuals. And if you're not sure what you want, there's a trailer finder on our website that will sort of help you get started there. Our next webinar is on used horse trailer shopping without getting burned. That should be a fun one. And it's going to be Wednesday, June the 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So sign up for that, and we'll be sending out a copy of this webinar as well. Any questions? Just shoot those to us on the email. Anything on your screen that you'd like to cover before we get off of here, Caleb?
No questions for me.
All right, guys. We appreciate the time. Everyone have a fantastic day. Bye bye.
And a great Memorial Day weekend.
That's right.